Okay. So are you going to introduce me, or am I speaking first? Or? Great, thank you. Yep. Just tell everyone who you are. Everyone knows what's yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Madden. I'm the mayor of the city of Troy. Welcome to the city of Troy. We're delighted to welcome Senator Schumer here this afternoon to speak about an important issue. You're all aware of the swatting incidents that have occurred across the state. I'm under the understanding that somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 have occurred so far. Troy experienced it a couple weeks ago. We were in the first wave of 36. Fortunately, our police department had adequate staff not just to respond to this school, but to respond to all schools in the city. But this is not a victimless crime. This is a crime that causes trauma and repeated trauma, because our youth see these incidents occur across the country on a near monthly basis, and they're repeated in social media over and over. So when they hear the alarm, it's not, oh, this is another fire alarm, we're going to go through the exercise. It could be very real. It's life-threatening. It's scary. And when that happens time and time again, it takes its toll on our young people. And Senator is here today to speak about ideas he has to address this issue. So I am delighted to welcome Senator Schumer to the microphone at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. And first, let me thank Mayor Madden for the great job he does. And let me thank all the people who are here. I'd like to name some of them because we appreciate their coming out. I know school is off this week because of the Easter break, and I hope everybody had a good holiday. We have Superintendent John Carmelo of the Troy City Schools, Captain Chief Dan DeWolf of the Troy Police, Andy Pilata, the President of all of New York State United Teachers, and this has happened across the state, from Long Island to Buffalo, Beth Wilson, President of the Troy Teachers Association, and she's an English teacher here at Troy High, Bob Wallen, Vice President of Troy Teachers and an elementary physical education teacher, Matt Robinson, an assistant principal here at Troy High School, and Roy Stiles, Vice President of East Greenbush, which also received one of these false reports. So this is serious stuff. So many schools have been victimized by this swatting. And as was mentioned, this is not just a victimless crime. New York has seen an unprecedented wave of swatting attacks. False reports of a mass shooting took place in 36 school districts in New York, including Troy and East Greenbush schools here in Rensselaer County, just on one day. Just on one day. And last Monday, additional swatting incidents were reported at schools across Saratoga, Warren, and Washington counties. The Washington County Sheriff reported they received calls from 9 school districts in their county alone regarding an anonymous email threat, of course confirmed to be bogus. So these recent attacks are unprecedented. We've heard about this before. I was involved in a school on Long Island in 2014. But it was rare, and now it's occurring everywhere. Across New York State, there's been a particular concentration here in the Capital Region. We don't quite know why. And across the country as well. Every corner of the state has been hit, from Rochester to Buffalo to Syracuse to Albany and the Hudson Valley. In total, police had to go into over 220 schools to check in last week. Many schools were put on lockdown. Thousands of students didn't know what was going on. Now let me just tell you how traumatizing these are. This doesn't go away. This doesn't go away. You're a kid in a school, and you've gone through drills. And now someone says there might be a live shooter. Your teacher says, do this, follow this protocol. There may be a live shooter in the school. You're petrified. The teachers are petrified. They all do their job here in Troy, at Troy High School, and everywhere else. The teachers did a great job putting their students over themselves. But it's scary. And then, of course, right away, someone emails their parents, and the parents hear about it. Imagine being a parent sitting at home and hearing that there's an active shooter, a potential active shooter in your school, in your child's school. Now, a few hours later, it's determined that it was a false report. But the trauma does not go away. It stays with us. So this is a real and serious problem. I've heard of instances where kids, teenagers, younger even, wrote notes to their parents, "I may not ever see you again, I love you." That just breaks your heart. To hear a kid have to write that note and a parent have to get that note. So this is serious stuff. And these evil, nasty people, I don't know what the hell their motivation is, but they've got to be stopped. They've got to be stopped. It's traumatizing. Just traumatizing. And it stays. The trauma does not go away. Does not go away. Just think of I have a 4-year-old grandchild. I thought of an instance a few weeks ago, not like this, but, he was worried about something, and it went away, but I still was worried that he had been worried. 10 times more so when it's something that could be, thank God, isn't life and death in something like this. It also wastes resources. It's not as bad as the trauma, but it's bad. Thousands of dollars in police resources. When our EMS rushes over to Troy High School, they're not on a call. They have to come here, of course, given this gravity of what the possibility is. But they're not going on a ambulance mission to get somebody else who might need them right away. So it costs money and it costs everything. So we need action here. We need action. And I am here demanding that the FBI do 3 things. This is a 3-pronged approach to stop swatting once and for all. And I might remind people, we eventually can find out where the swatters are. But there is no guarantee and probably not even a likelihood they are from the capital region, that they are even from New York State, that they're even from America, from the U.S. So our local police, and we'll hear from our chief, do a great job. They do everything right. But if the if the swatter is out of the state and particularly out of the country, you need the federal government to step in. We are not going to solve this problem unless the federal government steps in and stops it. We praise our first responders. We praise our teachers. We praise our students for the good reaction they have had. But we don't want to have to go through that reaction over and over again. And it's a little, I know some people say, older people, they say, well, we went through this in the 50s and 60s and 70s when we thought the Russians would bomb us and kids had to get under their desks. And I remember doing that, PS-197. But it's different because no Russian missile ever came, so you sort of knew it's unlikely to happen. But when you hear there's an active shooter in your school, you know there have been active shooters in other schools. So it makes the trauma so much the worse, the fear so much the worse. The possibility that this is real deeper in the heart of every person, every student, every teacher, every faculty member, every person who works here. So we need 3 points of action. First, we need a full FBI investigation. This is too broad, and it's gone all around the country. It's been in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. So we need the FBI to launch a full investigation. Now, they help. I'm sure when the Troy police chief called up the FBI, they were helpful. But that's different than launching a full-scale investigation across the country to get to the bottom of this. That's the first thing they have to do. Second, I'm calling for us to supercharge the FBI. I will put in this summer's budget $10 million specifically to target swatting. A, to require to get more FBI agents on the case, and B, it takes a lot of computer work and cyber work to go after these people. And so they need the money for the machinery and the computer time and all of that. They eventually find these swatters no matter where they are. They have ways of tracking them down. Even if it was, let's say, the original call came from Budapest, Hungary, then it went to Canada, then it went to Troy, and I'm not saying it was, that's a hypothetical, but if the call went, let me use a different example, went from Budapest, Hungary to Canada, somewhere here in New York, They'll eventually find them, but they need the resources to do it on a systemic basis, not on an ad hoc basis. And the third thing I'm doing is to ask the FBI to track all the swatting incidents in the last several years. They don't track them now. As any law enforcement can tell you, when you track these things, you learn better. Were all the messages the same? Did they occur at the same time? Were they sent through through 911 or through the school or through this? And that's a good way to figure out who did it. So A, full-fledged investigation. B, $10 million so they can track and find the swatters, and then we can prosecute them. And 3, tracking these crimes and putting a comprehensive dossier together on them. Okay? Just to give a little more example, here's what happened at Troy. In mid-morning, the school day was in full swing. Students and staff were put into a lockdown. They had to sit and wait for close to an hour when the sheriff's department came by and went room to room to clear the building. And to keep themselves safe, the police officers, I don't know if it happened in Troy, but in some places have gone through with their guns ready. The kids see that. According to news reports, East Greenbush elementary schools received these threats just as the students were getting off their buses to enter the school. Again, I compliment the Troy Police Department. I compliment the Rensselaer County Sheriff's Department. They all did a good job. I compliment all the teachers. But that's after the fact, to deal with the horrible situation as opposed to preventing it, which is what I'm trying to do here. So they have a lot more. Oh, yeah. How do they hide these crimes? They have 2 systems. One called VPNs, virtual private networks. One called VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. So they hide where the computer is. As I said, the FBI can pierce them, but it takes some time, some energy, and some dollars, and that's what we're giving them. Okay? All right. So what I want the FBI to do, this $10 million, is create a cyber super SWAT team to go after those who are swatting in our schools. It's a full-fledged team with all the resources they need to do what they need to do. Okay? Now, one other thing I would say to our school leaders and our teachers, as well as our kids, there's something else here. This is not in my proposal, because last year I helped secure, as a majority leader, I have a little cloud around here, I helped secure something called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. And that money goes to the Stop School Violence program. And it provides schools with money they need, sometimes for reporting systems and additional personnel, but probably the most important thing they need is mental health counselors. So if kids have a trauma, they have someone they can talk to. And that money is there. So the Troy School District, Mr. Superintendent, can apply for it, and we will help you get it. I say it that way. The Troy School District can apply for this money, and we will help him get it. Because you need some more counseling. We're short of counseling anyway. And that was approved by Congress last year. There's $1 billion in school-based mental health grants. $1 billion. And I will try to get as much of that money to the Capital Region in New York as possible. Okay? So with that, I think I've said everything that I should say, except we're going to have these elite cyber teams. The FBI and our military is very good at cyber offense and cyber defense. But we need to take those resources and apply it to swatting. They do a good job protecting us from foreign powers that want to use this. They do a very good job. So we need to take those resources and apply them to swatting because they know how to do it. Okay? With that, let me call on our superintendent, John Carmelo, who, as I said, does a great job in general educationally here in Troy and did a great job with the problems in the schools that occur here. John. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Schumer, for coming today and for your comprehensive proposal to help us with this situation that we're dealing with. I would like to thank the city and Troy PD. We have a great partnership with both the city and the Troy Police Department. That morning was certainly scary. We realized fairly quickly that it was a hoax, but even knowing that, we had the command center set up across the street. As Senator Schumer said, police were in the buildings checking bathrooms, because even though we knew there were many other school districts who got the same call, and we knew it wasn't real, you still have to check, right? And when I was talking to the chief and the assistant chiefs at the command center, we still had to take it as seriously as if we actually heard the gunshots ourselves. And so that's scary for all the students, scary for the adults that are in the building. And again, even though it turned out to not be true, and Senator Schumer and Mayor Madden both said it, it's trauma that still sticks with those students and staff members, and we're still dealing with that, a week and a half later. So I thank him for coming today, taking time out of his busy schedule, but more importantly, I thank Senator Schumer for this three-pronged approach to hopefully end this, not just for Troy High, but for all the schools across New York State. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you. Next, we have Daniel Wolf, Chief Daniel Wolf of Troy Police. Thanks, Chief. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. So as I don't want to reiterate too much, but as the superintendent, the senator, and the mayor said, this is a very important thing that happens here with the swatting. I mean, it does drain resources. We had upwards of 25 to 30 officers that responded across the city, and primarily here at Troy High. And it takes away from other real calls for service where people need a police officer there. And it also, there's a propensity for something bad to happen when you have to have all these people rushing in and people are stressed out. So it's unnecessary, and it is something that has to be stopped. I'm glad to hear, too, that you have this three-pronged approach. We do have a wonderful relationship with the FBI, but you're right, this is well beyond a local matter, and we need somebody with those tentacles that can get out there and really find out why this is happening and who's doing it and put an end to it. I just want to say also that we have a great partnership with the Troy School District, and the teachers and the staff and the students were just absolutely wonderful that day. It was a terrible day, really. I mean, thank God nothing bad happened, but everybody did what they were supposed to do, and thankfully everybody ended up safe at the end of the day. So that's really what matters.
Thanks,
Thank
Chief.
you.
Thanks for the good job young men and women do. Next, we have someone who is head of all of the teachers in New York State. So who knows this not just from a Troy perspective, but from a statewide perspective. Andy Pilata, the great leader of New York NYSA. New York State United Teachers.
I didn't know, but that's good.
You're on, baby.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's always
We didn't know
good
you were
not
going
to
to
know.
say something.
But we always say something because the main thing is that we keep the students safe in a wonderful, welcoming environment, and we appreciate everything you're doing, Senator, and what the government is doing, what the police are doing. So we just know that our folks, our staff in the schools, whether they're a social worker, a teacher, a paraprofessional, whatever their role is, their job is to keep the students safe. So we just appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Well done. And our last speaker is Beth Wilson, who's president of Troy Teachers and an English teacher right here at Troy High School. Thank you.
As a mother and teacher, incidents like these are very upsetting. It hits home. Our schools should be safe spaces for our students and educators. As a person who loves their students, I can't understand why anyone would want to threaten the one place of guaranteed safety. We are thankful to law enforcement and Senator Schumer for taking these threats seriously. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. And the kids are here because they suffered from this. They're not here to speak, but to show you it's real. It's real. It's not just letters on paper. Real people. Thank you. Okay, I'm ready for questions on this subject. Anybody? Yes.
Do you know exactly how all of these swatting calls were made in this particular?
No, that's what we have to find out. You know, we know that a lot of them had the same voice and occurred at the same time, so it's likely the same person. But that's why we need comprehensive FBI investigation. because it will reveal other clues. What if the same people did it in a different way in Pennsylvania? We don't know who did it yet. We're going to find out. But in most swatting incidents, even when they started overseas, eventually when the FBI puts its tentacles in, they find it. And then there are penalties to prosecute these people to the full extent of the law. They should throw the book at them, and there are serious penalties.
What if they're overseas?
Well, we have extradition treaties with the majority of countries, but even when there aren't, there are ways we stop them. Okay? All right. Well, go ahead.
As far as funding goes, what's the status on that? I know that a lot of colleagues across the island, they talk a lot on, wanting to do things on crime, and they don't seem to follow up, especially when it comes to national things.
Yes. On this one, as majority leader, I will make sure this is in the budget. I think I can do that. I'm sure I'll get broad bipartisan support. I can't imagine I won't. But even if not, I have the ability to get it in the budget. Anyone? Yes.
As far as tracking the swatting calls goes, is this something that we know the FBI is not actively doing, or is it potentially something that's happening that is not as public facing?
No, they're not. They're not tracking every call. When a school calls them, they try to do something. They're cooperative, but they got to look at this as a comprehensive problem now, not as an individual school. And I don't blame them. It's only in the last few months that this has skyrocketed.
Is there any theory as to why this is being done? Is there some ulterior motive?
We just don't know. There are lots of different theories. It could be just horrible, deranged people. Maybe it's a government, just a foreign government that we don't like, trying to disrupt our way of life. We just don't know, but that's why we've got to find out. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Yeah, let's take a picture with the kids.
Are you shooting?
Thank you so much.